This is the video for today on the signs of a mini stroke. Did you know that every 40 seconds, someone in the US has a stroke? But this is far more worrying. Many people get microstrokes every day, and a lot of them don't even know it. These warning signs could save your life or the life of someone you care about. Here are 15 signs of a microstroke that you should know about. And trust me, number 10 might surprise you. We're going to talk a lot about tiny strokes, which are also known as transient ischemic attacks, TIAs, in medical terms. These are short breaks in the flow of blood to the brain that can last anywhere from a few minutes to a whole day. Even while they don't cause permanent damage, they are often early signs of a large stroke. The American Stroke Association says that if a person who has a mild stroke doesn't get the right care, 1 in 3 of them will have another stroke within a year. So, it's really crucial to know these signs. Before we go into these 15 symptoms, make sure to hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any of our health information that is based on evidence. If this video is beneficial to you or someone you know, please share it. It could even save a life. Please remember that this video is only meant to give you information and should not be used instead of medical advice. All studies have been confirmed. The description has links to the sources. Now, let's look at the main indicators of a mini stroke, starting with the one you should know about. Do you suddenly feel weak or numb? Let's start with one of the most common and easy to see signals. Even a short break in blood flow to the brain can cause sudden numbness or weakness, especially on one side of the body. This is a common sign that doctors check for, and it usually affects the face, arm, or leg. The NIH stroke scale, which is the best way to check for stroke activity in emergency rooms around the world, says that unilateral weakness is one of the most essential signs. When blood flow to certain parts of the brain is interrupted, even for a short time, the brain's ability to talk to muscles on one side of the body is affected. This could feel like your arm is heavy, you have problems elevating your leg, or your limb has gone to sleep. This, on the other hand, happens suddenly and for no clear reason, like sitting in an uncomfortable position. The word sudden is quite important here. This happens in a matter of minutes, or even seconds, not hours or days. If this happens to you, do the arm lift test. For 10 seconds, put both arms in front of you. If one of your arms starts to droop, or you can't raise it as high as the other, get medical care straight once. The next indication, second speech that is unclear or slurred. Have you ever witnessed someone suddenly have trouble talking? One important sign of a mini stroke is problems communicating. The American Stroke Association lists slurred or garbled speech as one of the most important signs. This happens because less blood supply might affect the areas of the brain that deal with speech and language. You might not be able to say the words right, or they can sound jumbled or out of sequence. You might even sound drunk when you haven't had any. People may say they know exactly what they want to say, yet they may have trouble saying it correctly. This symptom could be noticed first by friends or relatives. They can say that your speech is strange or that you don't make sense. This is not the same as just forgetting a word. It is a physical inability to put words together appropriately. Try saying, "The early bird catches the worm," or any other tongue twister to see how well you can do. If you suddenly can't speak well when you usually can, you should see a doctor straight away. Next. Sign 3. Sudden confusion. Let's talk about a symptom that people often ignore: sudden confusion. According to a study published in the journal Stroke in 2018, this is one of the indicators of a mini stroke that people miss the most. I don't simply feel a little out of it. It is a deep and quick perplexity. You might have trouble understanding simple sentences or conversations that you would normally find easy. Some people say that all of a sudden, it seems like everyone around you is speaking a foreign language. Some people report they have problems following simple directions or getting things done every day. This uncertainty might show up in a number of ways. You could not know where you are, what time it is, or even who is around you. You might start a statement and then forget what you were saying halfway through. You can also find that you can't solve simple problems, like opening a door or using your phone. This is especially dangerous because the confusion itself could make it hard for you to perceive that something is wrong. This is why it's so important for friends and family to know about this symptom. They might have to call for help first. The fourth sign comes next. Problems with vision. Now let's talk about how a mini stroke could affect your vision. The American Stroke Association and the Mayo Clinic both say that mini strokes can cause a number of problems with vision. Some of them are temporary blindness in one or both eyes, double vision, or blurry vision. People sometimes relate amaurosis fugax, which is the medical term for temporary blindness in one eye, to a curtain or shade that has been drawn down over the eye. This happens when the blood flow to the retina stops for a short time. Some people say it feels like seeing through a misty window, or having a gray or black shadow block part of their field of vision. When the muscles that control eye movement are damaged, diplopia or double vision happens. You can see two of anything, either next to one other or on top of each other. This can make you feel dizzy or sick and can be very perplexing. It's also important to know that these changes in vision happen quickly and without warning. Vision problems that happen after a mini stroke happen quickly, in seconds or minutes rather than slowly over time, which could be an indication of other diseases. This is still a medical emergency that has to be addressed immediately away, even if your vision will shortly get better. The fifth sign comes next. Loss of balance or coordination. People often mix up one symptom with another. Sudden loss of balance or coordination. Research published in JAMA Neurology in 2019 found that this symptom is quite common in persons who have had mini strokes, but it's often blamed on other things, including problems with the inner ear or just being awkward. This doesn't feel very stable at all. Your ability to coordinate movements has changed very quickly and profoundly. You can feel like you're on a boat in rough waves and can't walk straight when you try to walk. Some people say it's the feeling of being drunk even when they haven't had any alcohol. Loss of coordination might also make it harder to use fine motor skills. You might suddenly not be able to pick up small things or button your shirt legibly. All of a sudden, these daily tasks that you do without thinking about them become hard or impossible. This symptom is especially concerning since it makes falls and accidents more likely. If you suddenly lose your balance, sit down right away in a safe place and call 911. Don't wait for it to go gone or try to ignore it. This is your brain's way of telling you that something is horribly wrong. The sixth sign comes next. The face is drooping. One of the most noticeable signs of a mini stroke is that the face droops. This is a very important aspect of the fast stroke test and may be the easiest symptom to spot. Time, speech, arms, and face. If one side of the face suddenly becomes weak or numb, it may droop a lot. This happens because less blood is getting to the brain, which affects the facial nerve, which controls the muscles that make face expressions. If you find that one side of your lips droops down, it could be hard to smile evenly. One eyebrow may be lower than the other, or the eye that is afflicted may not close all the way. The typical way to test this is to try to smile in front of a mirror. If your smile is lopsided, or one side of your face moves wrong, it could be a sign of a mini stroke or stroke. You might also have problems keeping food or drinks in your mouth on the affected side, or drool from that side. This symptom is often accompanied with numbness, or an odd feeling on one side of the face, similar to the feeling you get following dental anesthesia. This, on the other hand, happens suddenly and for no clear reason, unlike dental numbness, which builds up over time. The seventh sign is a sudden, severe headache. Everyone gets headaches from time to time, but the headache that occurs after a mini stroke is different. The Cleveland Clinic says that this is especially concerning when it arises for no clear reason and feels different from any headache you've ever had. This isn't your usual migraine or headache from stress. Many people say it's the worst headache they've ever had. The pain may seem like a thunderclap that starts in a few seconds and gets worse practically right away. Some people report it feels like someone hit them in the head with a baseball bat, or that their head would explode. The discomfort could spread throughout your head or stay in one place. Because this headache often happens with other symptoms like confusion, changes in vision, or problems speaking, it is especially relevant in the case of a mini-stroke. Changes in blood vessel pressure and flow in the brain cause the headache itself. Not everyone who has a mini-stroke will have a headache, and not every bad headache means you have a mini-stroke. But don't wait if you suddenly have an extremely bad headache that you've never had before, especially if you also have other symptoms on this list. Get medical help straight away. The 9th sign is problems swallowing. You might be shocked by the next sign. Dysphagia is the medical word for having trouble swallowing. A 2020 study, published in Frontiers in Neurology, says that this happens when blood flow to the areas of the brain that control the complex swallowing process goes down. In fact, swallowing is a very complicated process that needs numerous brain areas and cranial nerves to work together perfectly. If a mini-stroke affects these areas, you can suddenly find it hard to swallow regularly. You might choke or cough when you try to swallow even your own saliva, or food or drinks might feel stuck in your throat. Some people say they feel like they can't swallow past a lump, or that their throat has closed up. People may also notice that food or drinks go through the wrong pipe more easily, which can cause choking or coughing. You can also drool a lot because you can't swallow saliva regularly. Aspiration happens when food or liquid goes into the lungs instead of the stomach. This makes this symptom particularly dangerous. This could cause serious adverse effects, such as pneumonia. If you suddenly have problems swallowing, especially if you have additional symptoms, it's very important to get medical attention right away and not eat or drink anything until you've been tested. The 8th sign is a tingling feeling. Have you ever felt that feeling in your foot when it falls asleep? Mini strokes can cause similar symptoms, although they are very different from each other. According to NIH clinical investigations, this is a common early warning sign of a mini stroke that people typically miss because they think their limb is falling asleep. There is a big difference between the tingling that happens after a mini stroke and the pins and needles that happen after sitting in one position for a long time. The feeling of a mini stroke happens rapidly and for no clear reason. It usually only affects one side of the body. It could also make you feel weak or numb. The tingling may start in your fingers or toes and then spread up your arm or leg. Some people claim it feels like ants crawling under their skin or like little electric shocks. Unlike typical pins and needles, which go away when you move, tingling from a mini stroke does not. It might even come with clumsiness or problems using the affected limb. This ailment happens when blood flow to the brain's sensory circuits that process touch and feeling is temporarily interrupted. Even if the tingling seems small or goes away fast, it is a warning indication that should not be ignored. This is especially true if it only happens on one side or with other symptoms. The 9th sign is short-term memory loss. You could be surprised by the sign of temporary memory loss. A 2017 study published in the Stroke Journal suggests that brief episodes of disorientation or memory loss may signify a mini stroke, particularly if they affect the temporal lobes of the brain, which are responsible for memory processing. This is more than just misplacing your keys. People who have memory loss after a mini stroke may abruptly lose their sense of where they are, even in places they know well, like their own home. They can forget critical things that just happened or not be able to recognize family members. Some people say they lost time and don't remember how they arrived to where they are now. The memory loss usually doesn't last long, from a few minutes to a few hours, but it can be very upsetting for the person who is going through it and for their loved ones. You can forget what you were doing midway through an activity, or you might ask the same question over and over again and not remember the answer you just got. This is especially bad since people who are losing their memory may not know they have any problems. It's crucial for friends and family to identify this as a possible sign of a mini-stroke and get them help. The 12th sign is being partially or fully unconscious. Mini-strokes can lead to partial or total loss of consciousness. However, this is not the most common symptom. Johns Hopkins Medicine says that this is one of the more serious signs, and that you should always receive emergency care immediately soon. Being really sleepy or having trouble remaining awake could mean that you are partially losing consciousness. Some people could notice that you're not responding to questions or stimuli in the right way, or you might feel like you're going in and out of consciousness even when you should be alert. Mini-strokes are less likely to make you completely asleep or make you pass out than huge strokes. But it is possible, especially if the mini-stroke affects the brainstem or if numerous areas of the brain are impacted. Before this happens, you can feel dizzy, like you're about to faint, or see spots or blackness coming in from the corners of your vision. Whether someone loses consciousness, even for a brief period, and shows any other signs of a stroke or mini-stroke, don't wait to see whether they wake up on their own. Call for help right now. In these situations, time is really important. The 12th symptom follows: feeling dizzy. Does it feel like the room is spinning? That is vertigo, which is another important sign to look out for. Research published in the journal Neurology in 2016 says that vertigo can be an indication of a mini-stroke, especially when the brain's posterior circulation is not working right. This is more than just feeling a bit dizzy after standing up too rapidly. If you have a mini-stroke and have vertigo, you could feel like everything is still and you're spinning or the room is whirling around you. It can be so bad that you can't stand or walk without falling, and it often makes you feel sick and throw up. Head movements can create or make vertigo worse. But vertigo from a mini-stroke happens quickly and often happens with other neurological symptoms, which is not the case with normal inner ear problems that produce vertigo. Nystagmus, which is when your eyes move involuntarily and make it hard to focus on things, is another probable sign. This issue is quite worrying because it makes you more likely to fall and hurt yourself. If you suddenly feel very dizzy and have other symptoms on this list, call for help straight away and sit or lie down. Then the sign, 13, changes in mood or personality. This symptom often catches people off guard. Changes in personality or mood that are not expected. The 2018 Stroke Patients Review says that mini-strokes can cause sudden, big changes in a person's behavior or emotions that are completely out of character for them. Some instances of these changes are abrupt anger, or irritation, deep sadness or emotional outbursts, or sudden anxiety or panic attacks in someone who has never had them before. Some people may experience unusual disengagement or apathy, which makes them lose interest in things they usually like doing. Family members often say that their loved one isn't acting like themselves when they see these changes. The person might make unwise choices, say things that aren't suitable, or do things that are completely out of character for them. These changes happen because mini-strokes can affect the brain's frontal lobes, which are in charge of personality, judgment, and controlling emotions. It's important to understand that these changes don't happen slowly over weeks or months. They show up out of nowhere, often in just a few hours. Don't assume that someone you know is just having a terrible day when they suddenly change their demeanor in a big way, especially if they have other symptoms as well. It could be a sign of a serious health problem. The next symptom is number 14, being clumsy or having trouble gripping things. Everyone has experienced butterfingers moments, but if you suddenly become clumsy, it could be a sign of a mini-stroke. This has been identified as a significant marker in clinical stroke evaluations. This isn't simply being clumsy. It's a sudden inability to do small motor tasks that you usually do without thinking. You might drop things a lot because you can't hold on to liquids, cutlery, or pencils. Typing on a keyboard, buttoning a shirt, or placing a key in a lock are all things that require hand-eye coordination that suddenly become hard or impossible. This happens when the parts of the brain that handle sensory input from your hands and coordinate movement are not working properly. You could not realize how far away something is when you try to pick it up, or you can reach for it and miss it completely. Some people say they can't feel things right because they feel like they're wearing thick gloves. One thing that makes this symptom different from other reasons of clumsiness is that it usually only affects one side of the body, such one hand or arm. If you suddenly can't do things that were easy for you only a few minutes ago, especially if it predominantly affects one side of your body, you need to see a doctor right away. The next symptom is 15. Unexplained weakness or tiredness. The last sign we have is easy to miss. Unexplained fatigue or weakness. A 2021 study in the Lancet Neurology found that sudden, severe fatigue, without any physical exertion, may be a sign of a mini-stroke that is often ignored or misinterpreted for something else. This isn't the kind of tiredness you get after a long day or a night of not sleeping well. It's a sudden, strong exhaustion that doesn't go away after you sleep. You can feel like your whole body is made of lead or that you can't keep your eyes open. Even actions that seem easy, like crossing a room, can be really tiring. Unlike the one-sided weakness we talked about before, the tiredness may come with a widespread feeling of weakness all over your body. You might feel like you need to lie down right away or that you can't stand up. Some people say it feels like all of their energy has been snatched away all of a sudden. This symptom happens because the brain needs a lot of energy to work properly, and even a small change in blood flow can make you quite tired. If you suddenly feel very weary, don't just think you need to relax, especially if you have other symptoms as well. Get medical help straight away. Then, how to tell if you had a mini-stroke. Now that we've gone over all 15 symptoms, let me quickly remind you of the FAST test, which is the quickest way to find out if you might have a stroke or mini-stroke. F. Face. Ask the person to smile. Does one side of their face droop? Arms. Ask them to raise both arms. Does one arm droop down? S. Speak. Ask them to say a short sentence again. Does their speech sound strange or slurred? T. Time. If you detect any of these signs, time is of the importance. Call for emergency help right now. When it comes to mini-strokes and strokes, time is brain. It's best to get therapy as soon as possible. We've talked about 15 well-known signs of a mini-stroke today. Some of them are more evident, such slurred speech and sagging face, while others are less obvious, like changes in personality and intense tiredness. The most important thing to remember is that you should see a doctor immediately away if you have any of these symptoms, especially if they come on suddenly. There is a solid reason why mini-strokes are often called warning strokes. They are how the brain tells you that there is a big problem with your blood flow. If you have a major stroke, getting medical care quickly away can save your life or keep you from being disabled for a long time. If this video has helped you see the signs of a mini-stroke, please share it with your family and friends. You never know who you might save. Hit the notification bell and subscribe for more health information based on research so you don't miss any updates. Have you or someone you know had any of these symptoms? Please share your story in the comments below. Your experience may help someone else see these warning indicators. Please remember that I cannot give you medical advice, so always ask a doctor for an accurate diagnosis and treatment plan. Stay healthy and up to date until next time.